Welcome back to Mindset English. Today, we're going to improve your English by diving into the powerful, emotional, and inspiring real-life story of Jack Ma. This isn't just about learning language. It's about learning courage, resilience, and belief. Just give your attention for the next few minutes. Let your heart and mind be open, because this story, Jack Ma's story, isn't just his. It's yours too. It's about all of us who've ever been told, "You're not good enough." This is not a story about a billionaire. It's not about a man who created a company worth billions of dollars. It's a story about rejection. It's about standing up again and again when the world keeps pushing you down. It's about humiliation, pain, and failure over and over and still choosing to continue. He was laughed at. He was rejected 10 times by Harvard, not once. Not twice, 10 times. People called him useless, average, and even ugly. But every single time, Jack Ma stood back up and said, "I'll try again tomorrow." He wasn't rich. He wasn't a genius. He didn't come from a powerful family. He didn't even know how to code. But he had something else. Something money can't buy. He had belief in himself. He had hope that couldn't be broken. And he had a dream that was bigger than his fear. That's why today, as you listen, I don't want you to just hear the story of Jack Ma. I want you to feel it. Because somewhere inside you, there's also a Jack Ma. There's a part of you that refuses to give up. So open your heart and let this story speak to you. Jack Ma's real name was Ma Yun. Born on September 10, 1964 in Hangzhou, China. He was small, thin, weak. Nothing about him looked special. His family was poor. No car, no television, just a small house in a narrow alley. But Ma Yun had something rare. Curiosity. He wanted to know more about the world. He kept asking questions. Even when people had no answers, he was growing up in a time when China was still closed. There was no internet. No international culture, no exposure to the outside world. But Jack had this burning desire inside him. He wanted to speak English. He wanted to understand the world, so what did he do? At the age of 12, he started waking up at 5 a.m. every single day. He took his old bicycle and rode across the city to a hotel where foreign tourists stayed, the Hangzhou Hotel. Every morning, he would go there, speak with tourists, guide them, help them, without asking for a single coin. He just wanted to practice his English. 9 years, every day. Without getting paid, without any guarantees. Why? Because he was planting seeds. He knew he was preparing himself for a future that no one could see but him. And guess what? He was not a great student. He failed in school many times. In middle school, he failed twice. In high school, 3 times. And even in the college entrance exams, he failed 2 times. In a country like China, that's almost like the end. These exams define your entire future. But Jack didn't let that define him. He just kept saying, "I'll try again." Finally, he passed on his third attempt and got into Hangzhou Teachers Institute. He studied English and eventually graduated. Not from a top university, not with honors, but with persistence. After graduating, Jack applied to more than 30 jobs. Every single one rejected him. He applied to become a police officer. They said he was not fit. He applied to KFC. Out of 24 applicants, 23 were hired. The only person rejected? Jack Ma. He even tried to get a job at a hotel. They told him, "You don't look good enough. You talk too much. You don't have the right skills." Imagine that. Imagine being told over and over, "You're not enough." Most people would have broken. Most people would have given up. But Jack? He said, "I'll find my own way." One day, while helping a foreign tourist in Hangzhou, he met an American family. They liked him. They saw something in him. They gave him a nickname, Jack, because Ma Yun was hard for them to pronounce. That's how Ma Yun became Jack Ma. That family became a spark in his journey. They showed him a different world. They even invited him to the United States. For the first time, Jack saw a world beyond his imagination. He started dreaming bigger. He applied to Harvard University 10 times. Every time he was rejected. But instead of breaking, he smiled and said, "Even if Harvard doesn't want me, maybe the world still needs me." At the age of 31, Jack used the internet for the first time. He typed beer into a search engine. He saw results from America, from Germany, but no results from China. Then he typed China. Again, almost nothing. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He kept thinking, "Why is my country not on the internet?" And then it hit him. Maybe it's because no one has done it yet. Maybe that person could be me. He didn't know how to code. He had no background in technology. But he had something better. The ability to see a problem as an opportunity. He returned to China with a mission to bring Chinese businesses online. He borrowed $2,000 from friends and started a small company called China Pages. The idea was simple: help Chinese companies create websites and connect with the world. But there was a problem. People didn't trust the internet. Most business owners had never even touched a computer. Many thought the internet was a joke. Jack and his team went door to door explaining the concept. Shopkeepers laughed. Manufacturers shook their heads. Some people even said, "You're crazy. Who would buy things on a screen?" But Jack didn't stop. He believed in what others couldn't see. China Pages struggled. It wasn't a success. Too many rules, not enough support. People didn't understand the vision. It was his first big failure. But Jack didn't cry. He didn't blame anyone. He simply said, "I learned something. Now let's try again." It was 1999. Jack was 35. He had just left a government job where he'd been helping businesses go digital. But deep inside, his dream was still alive. One day, he invited 17 of his friends to his small apartment. No chairs, no office, just hope, just belief, just fire. He stood in front of them and said, "I'm going to start a company. It will connect Chinese businesses to the world. I'll call it Alibaba." Some of them laughed. Some were confused. One friend asked, "Why Alibaba?" Jack said, "Because everyone knows the story of Alibaba and the 40 thieves. The magic. Word was open sesame. My company will open the door to fortune for small businesses." That day, 18 people became the first team of Alibaba. No money, no business plan, no technology, but they had something bigger, a shared dream. They worked day and night. From Jack's apartment, no salary, no fancy office, just noodles, computers, and endless belief. They created a platform where small Chinese businesses could list their products and reach the world. It wasn't just a website, it was a movement. Back then, companies like Amazon and eBay were already growing fast in the West, but in China, the idea was still new. Jack knew they were late, but he also knew something else. This was just the beginning. He knew he had to think bigger. To truly serve the small businesses of China, they needed more than a marketplace. They needed tools, real, digital infrastructure, and so he expanded the vision. Alibaba Cloud was born, aiming to give Chinese entrepreneurs the same kind of computing power that Amazon was offering to businesses in the West. Most people didn't believe it could happen. Competing with Amazon Web Services from China with no tech background? Impossible. But Jack didn't hear impossible. He heard I'm possible. Then came Alipay, the payment solution nobody believed would work. China's banks refused to support him. Regulators resisted. Even his own team doubted the idea. But Jack said, "If we don't do it, someone else will. If we want trust, we must build it ourselves." So they built Alipay, and it became the biggest online wallet in China. Not just a product, a revolution in how people paid, moved money, and did business. Jack didn't just build websites. He built an ecosystem. He built a whole online world where people who had nothing could start something. And he did it with love, with joy, and with the same childlike passion as on day one, when he stood in front of 17 friends and shared his dream in a tiny apartment. The world started to notice. Leaders from every continent wanted to meet him. Universities like Harvard, Stanford, and Oxford invited him to speak. Students lined up to listen. For them, he was more than a businessman. He was hope. He was proof. Proof that you can rise without power, that you can lead without fear, that you can win with heart. CEOs began to either fear him or admire him, sometimes both. But Jack never let the spotlight blind him. He stayed simple, always with a smile, always telling people, customers first, employees second, shareholders third. A business philosophy that confused Wall Street but inspired millions. Behind all the success, Jack started to feel something new. He wasn't tired in his body. He wasn't tired in his mind. He was tired in his soul, because now he felt like his mission was shifting. It wasn't just about business anymore. It was about humanity, education, youth, kindness. He began to ask bigger questions. What happens after success? What happens when you reach the top? Between 2010 and 2014, Alibaba exploded with growth. AliExpress became one of the largest global platforms for cross-border trade. Alipay, now Ant Financial, grew to a scale that even surpassed PayPal. Alibaba Cloud started challenging Amazon, web services across Asia. Taobao and Tmall became household names in China, dominating e-commerce. But for Jack, the spotlight was never the prize. It was the microphone, a chance to share his vision, let small businesses have the power of big ones, and he made it happen. Thousands of small shops in forgotten towns began selling to customers in Brazil, France, South Africa, farmers, artisans, home-based businesses. Jack gave them wings. By 2014, Alibaba was ready for its biggest moment yet, going public on the New York Stock Exchange. The buzz was everywhere. September 19, 2014, the world held its breath. This would be the largest IPO in the history of the world. Investors called it China's Amazon. But Jack knew. It was more than that. It was China's dream standing tall on Wall Street. That morning, he walked into the NYSE building wearing a simple black suit. No gold watch, no bodyguards. Just that same calm smile he always carried. But inside, he was shaking. The cameras flashed. Billionaires, bankers, analysts, journalists, all watching. When the IPO opened, Alibaba's value soared to $231 billion. Jack Ma became the richest man in China overnight. People cheered. Reporters rushed in. One asked him, "Jack, how does it feel to be the richest man in China?" Jack looked him in the eyes and said, "This is not my money. I'm just holding it for the people. I want to use it wisely." That's Jack. Even at the top, still grounded, still teaching. After the IPO, Jack had everything. Wealth, fame, global, respect. But his heart had already moved on. He kept asking, what if we raised kind leaders? What if education was filled with love, not just exams? So he launched the Jack Ma Foundation. He visited schools in rural China, places without internet, sometimes without electricity. He donated computers, books, scholarships. He spoke to children in India, Southeast Asia, Africa. He told them the same thing he once told himself. You are not your background, you are your belief. He became known as the teacher billionaire. In schools, he gave speeches with no slides, no charts, just stories. He told teenagers, don't chase money, chase learning, don't fear failure, it's your teacher. Don't try to be the best, try to be the most unique. People started listening, not just students, parents, policymakers, even other billionaires. Jack was showing a new way to live with success by giving it away. Then came September 10th, 2019, Jack's 55th birthday, and also Teacher's Day in China. The symbolism was perfect. That day, Jack Ma stood on a stage in front of over 60,000 Alibaba employees in Hangzhou. There was music, lights, laughter, and something magical in the air. It was a farewell, but not a sad one. Jack came out wearing a leather jacket, holding a guitar, singing pop songs. People screamed, some cried, some laughed. The richest man in China was saying goodbye, not as a boss, but as a dreamer. He said, I was never smart. I failed so many times, but I never gave up. If I can do it, you can too. Believe in yourself, love your dream, and remember, the best is yet to come. The crowd gave him a standing ovation that lasted 10 minutes. That night, millions across China cried, not because he left, but because of how he left, with grace, with heart, with friendship. But something strange happened after that. In late 2020, Jack gave a speech in Shanghai. He criticized China's financial system. He said it was outdated, too controlling, and needed deep reform. Bold words, words that made headlines. Then suddenly, Jack disappeared. No interviews, no public appearances, no posts, no speeches. For 3 months, the world asked, where is Jack Ma? Rumors spread. Was he arrested? Silenced? Was he safe? Even CNN and BBC began asking questions. Then, without warning, he reappeared in a video. Calm, smiling, but different, softer, quieter. He said he was now focused on education and philanthropy. He never mentioned the disappearance, never explained anything. And maybe he didn't need to. Some say he was warned by the government. Some say he chose silence, but the mystery only added to his legend. Even today, Jack Ma's net worth changes with the market, politics, and his own decisions. At his peak, it was around 65 or 70 billion. But he never lived like a billionaire. No flashy cars, no mega yachts, no palaces. He wears simple clothes, lives quietly, keeps a low profile, because to Jack, wealth is a tool, not a trophy. He is married to Zhang Ying, his college sweetheart. She once said, "He's not a handsome man, but I loved his thinking. I believed in his future." They have 3 children, and Jack keeps his family life private. After retiring, he returned to teaching, not at elite universities, but in small rural schools, where kids had nothing but hope. That's where Jack felt most needed. He didn't want to be celebrated. He wanted to serve. He is still known for his unforgettable speeches, full of soul, humor, and wisdom. Quotes like, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure. Help young people. Help small guys. Because the seeds you plant in their minds will grow and change the world. Today is hard. Tomorrow will be harder, but the day after tomorrow will be beautiful." Millions have cried listening to those words. Millions have stood back, up after failure, because of him. He doesn't just teach. He awakens something inside you. Maybe you're watching this from a small town. Maybe you failed in school. Maybe people laugh at your dreams. Maybe your English isn't perfect. Maybe you're scared you'll never be good enough. But Jack Ma's story tells you the truth. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need perfect English. You don't need permission. All you need is a heart that refuses to give up. When the world says no, let your soul say, "Try again." When they reject you, smile. When they doubt you, work harder. When they laugh, dream louder. Your pain is not the end. It's your beginning. So dream big. Start small. Move fast. And never stop believing. One day they'll ask you, "How did you do it?" And you'll say, "Because I believed," just like Jack. If this story touched your heart, if it gave you hope, strength, or even a spark of courage, then this is your home. Mindset English is here to remind you, your journey matters. Your voice matters. Your dream matters. Subscribe now. Share this with someone who needs it. And remember, the best is yet to come.